Think Realty Nation, it's Abhi Gohar. Welcome to the Think Realty podcast. Today is a conversation about private money, but it's also a conversation around the Burr method, short-term investing strategies, and I have a very unique question with maybe a new trend that's coming up, maybe a new strategy that could be coming up for real estate investors to take a look at. But if you want to know what that is, you're going to have to listen to the entire podcast. That's going to be about 3 hours and 15 minutes. Totally kidding. Mark's like, whoa. I didn't sign up for a 3-hour, 15-minute podcast. No, it's like going to be 15 minutes in now. It's going to be great. But before we get to Mark from Temple View Capital, I need to give a huge shout out to Real Property Management, who is the sponsor for today's podcast. If you want to work with the right property management company that can put more money in your pocket, not less, Real Property Management is your team. They provide a higher standard of property management to make sure you're maximizing the return on your investments. Experience the real difference with realpropertymgt.com. Mark, welcome to the show. I know we've got a couple of topics I want to talk about, and then, of course, the secret investing strategy that you actually don't know what I'm going to bring up. So I'm excited to hear your thoughts on it in a little bit. But give us an overview of Temple View Capital, what you do, how long you've been doing it, and how good looking you are.
Absolutely, man. So excited to be here. Just kind of share what I know and what I do. Been with Temple View since the beginning. Been in real estate since 2003 was the first house that I purchased. Been flipping houses, obviously, back in 2016, 17, getting into rental properties. My first 2 rental properties were during the crash, so I had the experience of what happens to real estate during a crash and what kind of things you can do to mitigate your losses. But it opened up new horizons for me, not selling those properties at a loss. I kept them and put them on the rental platform and a short-term rental platform known as Airbnb. It really got me started in 2012 on the short-term rental scheme. And then being able to work for Temple View has propelled me into be able to get financing on all these properties because Temple View is a nationwide lender. And so they allow you to have acquisition funds to be able to buy properties that need a little bit of TLC, a little bit of work. And you can put down less leverage, so less money out of your pocket. And then you take that money and you renovate the property, make it worth a whole lot more. And then the goal is to take most of your money out of that property and then put it on either one of the 2 platforms, either your long-term rental or short-term. And then short-term is now broken up into a midterm rental, if depending on the market you invest in. And there's some other pretty fascinating opportunities out there, things called pad split and things like that we're getting involved in as well at Temple View. So we're looking forward to kind of sharing some great info with you guys, and looking forward to explaining really what has worked for me and made me successful. Right now, currently, I own 15 long-term rental units, or people call them doors, and I have 20 short-term rentals that are actively on the short-term rental market.
Ooh, let's talk about that. That actually sounds like a lot of fun. Which cities, states do you own your short-term rentals in? Are they just in one location? Are they spread out throughout the country?
Well, I'm actively searching different markets. I will tell everyone that's getting into this business, always play where you know, okay? Because you're going to know the ins and outs of the municipalities, whether they allow you to do short-term rental or long-term rental or what the requirements are. So everything that I have is going to be in the state of Maryland. I do West Coast and Deep Creek Lake and over in Oakland, where there's skiing and of course lake, so year-round vacation rental. And I'm all over the shoreline in Ocean City and Bethany Beach and those areas as well. So those are where all of my rentals are for the vacation side. And then for my long-term rentals, I invest in and around Baltimore. Just the numbers are so good up there. You just got to be very safe. You got to know a lot about Baltimore to invest there. But I do have some in the city, some in the county. And then I do have a couple of other rentals, Linthicum Heights near airports and, things like that. So
Nice. How did you find your deals? Are you actively searching MLS? Is it wholesalers? Is it other lenders? Is it yellow letters and a mail campaign over a period of 6 months with scented pink letters? I don't know. Like, how are you finding your property? Spill the beans, bro. I need to know now.
Well, I tell you what, I mean, so being involved with Templeview and really, I'm fascinated with real estate in general. So I do have to master my trade. So I got myself licensed, when I was flipping houses back in 2015, and moving from being licensed and starting to buy a bunch of properties, you meet a lot of people. And I think the best relationships are the ones you meet while you're doing business. Being a lender, being able to help different real estate agents out, with their customers, they kind of know what I do. The people in Ocean City that I buy houses from know if it fits my box, they know I'll buy it. And, right now, I mean, I'm actually closing. I've got my paperwork right next to me. I think I'm buying another one today right here. I close on it. I sold one, like 3 weeks ago, and I've turned it into another 2 vacation rentals. And really what it comes down to is just being able to buy the right property, learn from any mistakes you made, to really just increase the cash on cash return. That's where it really comes down to. I'm involved in a lot of different areas in the real estate game. So I have a couple of deals that I've done on the arbitrage side of short-term rental, and that's been working out. And again, the way I'm finding these deals and having them say yes is just the relationships I've built with those agents on the other side. A couple of other deals, I mean, truth be told, I just found on the MLS. And I looked at a couple of things. I did deed research just to see if there was active, deeds on there, or could I negotiate owner financing. There's other ways to get in, because it's really not always about the price. Sometimes it's about the deal structure and what the seller is looking for. So if you're really creative on those types of financing terms or being flexible, you can be very effective. And of course, being able to have leverage, like Templeview behind you, be able to close quickly, to be able to, offer terms that, are superior when you need to have superior terms, is always great. So when you have leverage, you can always, afford to pay a little bit more, just because you're not using as much cash.
Right.
So as long as the financials work out,
right.
You're in good shape. And one of the other things I'd also say, go ahead.
Yeah. So let's pivot the conversation to your debt and equity stack for the deals that you've done with Templeview, cap.com, and that's the website, templeviewcap.com, Templeview Capital. Help me understand. So when you are purchasing the deal that you're looking at right now, what are the terms you're getting from Templeview? How much cash are you bringing in? Are you putting into the deal out of your own pocket? Essentially skin in game. And what do your yearly yields look like for your long-term rentals, and then of course your short-term rentals? Well,
it's kind of a broad question, just because my yields are going to vary all over the place based on the type of deal. The deal we're looking at now is a property that's the acquisition is like $220,000, and the ARV is going to be north of $450,000. I'm putting down, so my requirement at Templeview is only 10% down of acquisition. So I'm putting down $22,000 plus closing costs. I was able to structure this deal with the seller paying my closing costs. So he wanted $200,000, and then I negotiated part of my commission, and we also got the credit for all closing costs. So my initial amount that I'm putting in is just my 10%. So I'm putting down the $22,000. Templeview will provide the rest of the leverage. They will also give me my $60,000 I need to renovate the property. The $60,000 is going to be a lot of cosmetic repairs, all bathrooms, all new kitchens, paint, carpet. I spent about $15,000 outside for the short-term rental. I want to do fire pits. I want to do a lot of landscape, different types of things that are going to be something that my guest is going to search for when they're looking up their potential short-term rental spot. So a lot of the stuff I do inside, I don't need to, change the outlook of the house or bring a wall down or something like that, but I want to create an area, but that might be for kids. So I might build, a pretty cool bunk bed room or something like that. Short-term rental is a little bit different when you want to do your renovations than you would for a long-term rental remodel. But, a lot of things that I do and I want to bring to the table is that unique experience. And that's what sells for short-term rental. So this one is going to be, once all said and done, the really cool thing about Templeview's loan is I don't need to pay any monthly payments. They come out of my future value of the house. So, and they also give me an advanced draw on the $60,000. So when I want to take my draws, I get ahead of me doing the work. It really keeps my cash flow and everything in my bank so I can buy more houses. So my initial cash out is going to be $22,000. And then, once I get my appraisal, once everything's said and done, and I have it listed on the short-term rental site, I'll be able to provide a, comparison for them. That's what they need to do a long-term takeout loan on a 30-year fixed rate. The rates on these are going to vary. Right now, it's estimated to be around mid-sevens. And I can go all the way to 80% on a rate and term, or I can go to 75% and pull some cash. My projection right now is I think I'm going to keep the $22,000 in the deal and just do a rate and term depending on that appraisal, so I can keep my equity in the property on this one, because I'm only out of pocket for $22,000, and my cash on cash return based on the numbers, it's going to be about a $60,000 to $70,000 return on revenue. My cash on cash return is going to be north of 80 if I only have $22,000 in the deal. So these are kind of deals I look for short-term rentals.
That's
I'm always going to look for cash on cash return of 25% or more.
I love it. All right, so yeah, we're clearly talking after the podcast. This is why I love the Think Realty podcast. To me, it's just, hey, I'm going to make some new friends, and we should go invest together, right? Okay. Here is the question of the day for you. Obviously, it's important to have a lender, a solid lender like Templeview Capital, that is in your back pocket, that understands what you want to do, what your objectives are as a real estate investor, whether it's short-term, long-term, flip, buy and hold, etc. And obviously, they've created a program that meets your needs to help you grow and expand, which is the dream of every real estate investor, to start with 1, 2, 3 properties and then get north of 15, 20, and then eventually thousands of units, and then eventually the world. And after you've conquered planet Earth, maybe go to Mars, right? That makes a lot of sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to me. But I will say having a lender in your back pocket makes a lot of sense, so TempleviewCap.com is where you should go. Here's the question. Here's the secret question, possible strategy that I have for you that I've been kind of testing the waters with and having conversations with investors locally and then, of course, nationally, is the following. Midterm rentals, to me, is a very unique concept. You have long-term rentals, leases 1, 2 years, short-term rentals that are, say, Airbnb, right? You've done a lot of those. What about midterm? What about 18 weeks, 13 weeks, 12 weeks to the healthcare professional industry that is sleeping in their cars in between their Airbnb stays because they can't find an Airbnb that they can rent for, that they can book for 13 weeks at a time? What do you think about that model?
Yeah, midterm is definitely a model to look at depending on the market that you're in and where the houses you're looking are located. Obviously, everyone knows about furnished finders at this point. This is where a lot of them go to research the properties, and that's what I recommend people do. I know that for me, in my market in Maryland, where I have a lot of my properties, there's no outlet for the midterm rental for where my locations are. But there are a lot of hospitals. There's a lot of different places where you can look at midterm rentals. I know that the tenant is a really good tenant. They take good care of the property. I think at the end of the day, the midterm rental itself is going to be something that, it's always going to be a backfall if depending on the municipality, if they do change what's going on with, a short-term rental. A short-term rental definition is weekly. In my cases, my minimum stay is 3 days, 2 days. I like to do a turnover 2 to 3 times a week if possible, just to maximize my revenue. And so if anything changes, you need to have a backfall. You got to know what your midterm rental rates are. I think for me, I just invest in areas that I know. So speaking towards a midterm rental is no different than qualifying from a lender's perspective. A midterm rental is going to qualify off of the long-term rental. So just be wary of that. There's no financial data to be able to show performance unless you have a 12-month average. So on a purchase on a midterm rental, you're going to be qualifying off of a long-term 1007, which is a rent comp schedule. But I do think it is absolutely a great opportunity. It's really, really important on location of the property.
Mark, this has been.
I might add.
Go ahead.
I might add one tidbit, which I think is something that Templeview is going to be focused on. And there's a new. It's called workforce housing. This is something that I think is so important in some of these big cities and certain areas in the country, because we are a nationwide lender. Places like Houston, Tampa, really hot markets for both short-term rentals and midterm, but also workforce housing. There's no workers that can afford a one bedroom condo. There's no one bedroom condos or rentals, right? Everyone has a 2 or 3 bedroom. So workforce housing is a new category that we are looking to get financing on, which I think if we can do this and do it right, you're going to have, properties, regular Rambler 3-bedroom properties being able to be turned to workforce housing, that would be like, 8 different rooms that you can get for a rental return. Most DSCR ratios for long term, this is just a nice finish to your point.
Sure.
If everyone knows what a DSCR ratio is, it's the ratio of your income versus your debt. And on a long-term platform, lenders want to see something over like a 1.15, 1.2. And that's really average. 1.2 to 1.5 is a pretty decent long-term rental. I shoot for closer to 2. I think midterm rentals and midterm rentals and short-term rentals are pushing numbers that are, in the 2s and 3s, and the workforce housing could be north of 3 and 4, depending on where you're at. So these are great DSCR, great returns. And, like I said, when you have a lender to help you, you can leverage and increase your cash on cash.
Mark, that's awesome. Dude, this has been a great conversation. I appreciate it. We'll be in touch for sure. And I know it wasn't the 3-hour and 15-minute conversation you were hoping for. I would just play Titanic in the background probably as we would talk for that length of time. But I appreciate that we kept it to about 15, 20 minutes. If you want to get in touch with Mark and his team over at Templeview, Mark, hit me with the website.
Yep, TempleviewCap.com.
TempleviewCap.com. Mark, thanks for your time. I appreciate it. Think Realty Nation, that's the show. You got questions for us, get in touch. Before I let you go, I do want you to think about midterm rentals and what Mark just said about MTR and that strategy. I'm a big believer in diversifying strategies, so yeah, go get yourself some short-term Airbnbs. Great. Complemented by some long-term rentals. Excellent. And maybe throw some, midterm rentals in there. It's like a perfect margarita pizza. You got cheese. That's your long-term rentals for stability. You got your red sauce. Oh man, I just had this yesterday. Red sauce. You got that. Maybe that's your short-term Airbnb strategy. And throw some basil leaves on there. That's your midterm rental strategy. Get that diversification in there for the portfolio. And if you want to talk about it, we'll be in Tampa for the Think Realty Conference and Expo on July 13th and 14th. Set your sights on making 2023 a success with more knowledge and know-how by learning and networking with top-tier real estate investing professionals. For a limited time, get a buy one, get one deal on tickets. Register for 2 and enter the code podcast at checkout to receive this special pricing. Go to thinkrealty.com/Tampa for more information. That's a wrap. Until next time, Think Realty Nation. Happy investing.